Hey platform, it's Rowan and welcome back to another video. This video I am very excited because, as you can probably tell by the title, I have been going behind the scenes, rifling through all of the top secret folders from Penguin Teen in the UK, and I have found some amazing books that are coming up this year that I think you are going to absolutely love. So get your notebooks, your note app, whatever it is, wherever you write down your TBR list, you know, the books that you're waiting to get this year, because I have some amazing choices for you. So I'm going to be going in like roughly chronological order by like the month that these books are being released, because I thought that made the most sense. Obviously, you can buy them at the time that they come out, but you can also pre-order them. If you're unfamiliar with pre-orders, essentially you sort of buy them now and they will get delivered to you or to your local bookshop, depending on where you pre-order them, like the day that it comes out. So you are guaranteed to get it that day. So the first book I want to talk about is one for all of us Jacqueline Wilson kids, because she is back and has written a YA novel. It's called Baby Love, and it has been described as like heart-wrenching, compelling, like all of those words that we associate with Jacqueline and her writing from when we were a little bit younger maybe. So the book is set in 1960 and is about a girl called Laura who unexpectedly becomes pregnant. Because she and the father aren't married, and the world being what it was in 1960, she ends up being sent away by her family, but makes sort of a newfound family in other girls who are in the same position as her and helping each other through that experience. I feel like I don't even have to say anything else to persuade you that this is going to be an amazing book. I know that we'll all have read at least one of Jacqueline's books before, and she is so good at weaving through these kind of like issues books, but with actually compelling characters and heart rather than just focusing on like someone's trauma. We actually have two other books coming out in March, and like all three of them could not be more different. So the second one that I want to talk about is Beasts of Prey. So if you've been looking for a new YA fantasy series, like I got you. This is the one. The world building is incredible. It's inspired by Pan-African mythology, and not to give too much away, but essentially the story focuses around a boy and a girl from very different circumstances who end up having to come together to hunt down a monster. We're talking fast-paced action. We're talking mythical creatures. We're talking like two characters who have to form an uneasy alliance. All the things that I love. I have here some quotes from reviews that have already come out. Words like dazzling, words like a masterpiece of magic, phrases like soon to be a major Netflix movie. Get on it now so you can read it before you watch. And our third new release for March is Man Down. So YA books tend to have female protagonists, but this book is bucking the trend, and in doing so is looking at issues like mental health and toxic masculinity and the pressures on boys as they grow up. I've not managed to get my hands on a copy of this yet, but I wanted to read you some things that other readers have said about it. No one is writing about young men's lives with as much warmth, empathy, and humour as James is right now. Utterly compelling, completely original, and will undoubtedly be one of the standout books of 2022. Staggeringly good, had me hanging on every word. So if you're looking for something a little bit different to the typical YA protagonist, and you want to read something that has these kind of amazing reviews for it, then check this one out. We have two books coming out in May, and the first one is another book by the amazing Emily Barr. This one is called Ghosted. Now, I know a romance was probably not what we were expecting from Emily Barr, but this has been described as a romance with a twist. So the start of the story goes, there's this girl who has a kind of accidental meeting with this handsome stranger. They exchange numbers, and he says, I'm going on a trip to France, but we should kind of get back in contact when I get back. She rings the number, it's disconnected, and she realizes like, oh, he's ghosted me. Except she keeps seeing him and he doesn't know who she is. What is going on? You will obviously have to read to find out. And this is really like nothing to do with the actual book itself, but the cover, can we talk about this cover? It is so beautiful. You have no idea how tempted I was to ask like the people working on this book, so what's the twist? Like, why does he not remember her? Like, why do they keep meeting? What's going on there? Why is his phone disconnected? But I refrained so that I could read it along with you guys instead. Our second book being released in May is another romance just in time for Pride Month. It is Nate Plus One. Okay, I'm just going to start this by saying, if you have not read Kevin Van Wy's other book, Date Me, Bryson Keller, go and read it right now. It is like chicken soup for the soul. It is so delightful and so wonderful. It's just such a cozy little queer romance. It is so nice. And we are promised another feel-good LGBTQ plus romantic comedy from this incredible author with this new book, Nate Plus One. Okay, when I tell you that the storyline for this book is full of your favorite book tropes, like romance tropes, in the best way possible, let me prove it to you. Okay, so we have Nate. He is a singer-songwriter. He is really excited to have been invited to his cousin's wedding. until he finds out that his sleazeball ex-boyfriend has also been invited and is on the guest list. And then we have Jay. So Jay is in a high school rock band, and just before the massive gig that's meant to be their big break, their lead singer drops out. I think you can tell where this might be going. That is right, Nate volunteers to be the lead singer in Jay's band. Jay volunteers to be a date to Nate's cousin's wedding. What could possibly go wrong? I can just tell this book already is going to be like summer vibes, and I am so here for it. Okay, we're halfway through the list, so we're up to July, and this brings us to This Place Is Still Beautiful. So it's the story of these two sisters who are like total opposites. So one of them is like sweet, content, popular, looking forward to a summer of flirting. The other one is ambitious, a warrior for social justice, and definitely not over her ex. And when their family becomes the victim of a racist attack, the two sisters have totally different ways that they think they should be dealing with it. And then a crushing secret threatens to tear them apart completely. This is set to be a really beautiful book about identity and secrets and family, and I am so excited to give it a go this summer. And our second book out in July is The Stranded. So I know that we had like YA thrillers have been a thing for a little while now, and I feel like we're coming back around to the dystopia. It's kind of like the next evolution of the thriller. So if you are looking for a brand new dystopian series to get your teeth into, this might be the pick for you. Okay, so the dystopian kind of premise of this book is that there was a war in Europe, and a refugee ship that used to be a cruise ship called the Arcadia ended up escaping and has been kind of floating off the edge of the United States and has not been allowed to make landfall. And so you have this very extreme pressure cooker environment in this ship that has like not been allowed to dock anywhere for 40 years. Like its own system of government, of gangs have all been formed. And we follow two different citizens of this ship. One of them is a girl who is trying to like do her best to be like a loyal citizen in order to potentially be able to be a medic on dry land and be able to leave the ship. And then our other character is more of a rebel who is making plans to liberate the ship itself. Obviously, events conspire to throw the two together, and you'll have to read to find out exactly what happens to them and the Arcadia in The Stranded. Now, talking of thrillers, our first book coming out in September is another one from the queen of YA thrillers herself, Karen M. McManus. So Karen's new book is called Nothing More to Tell. I am so excited about this. I'm always excited when Karen brings out a new book, but this one sounds so intriguing, right? It has all the classic stuff that we expect from her books. It's got like murder and intrigue and mystery, but one of the big hooks for this book is that it also dabbles into the concept of the true crime genre. So our lead character, Bryn, she gets the internship of a lifetime at this true crime podcast, and she ends up being asked to investigate a murder that happened while she was at school that was unsolved. The murder was of a teacher, and there were 3 students who found the body, one of which was Bryn's ex-best friend. And she's not convinced that they don't know more about the murder than they're letting on. And it's not a spoiler to say, like, you know that we are going to be digging into the past, we're going to be digging up some secrets, and all is not going to be what it seems. So the second to last book I'm going to talk about is another return of one of our favorite authors. It is the final book in the Inheritance Game series. So this new book is called The Final Gambit. I don't want to say too much about what happens in it because obviously I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't read the first 2 books in the series yet. But essentially the premise of the first book is there is this girl who inherits a lot of money. And by a lot of money, I mean like she is one of the richest people in the world. Like it is an obscene amount of money. She has no idea why she has been given this money. What she does know is that the family of the man who gave it to her were expecting to get that money themselves. And obviously, if we're talking about very powerful people and a lot of money, it might just get a bit dangerous. Basically, if you cross like One of Us is Lying with Knives Out with kind of like puzzle solving, you would get the Inheritance Games. All I'll say is if you enjoyed the first 2 books, then you're not going to be disappointed by the ending of the trilogy. And that leads us to the final book that I'm going to be talking about, which isn't out, much to my disappointment, until all the way in October of this year. It feels so far away, but it will come up sooner than we think, I'm sure. This is an autobiography from the one, the only Mallory Blackman. I don't know how long the people at Penguin have been begging her to write about her life, but she has finally agreed. We are getting the autobiography of one of the most iconic YA authors ever. Not only are we going to be hearing about her life, but she's also going to be talking about all of the books that have made her who she is today. And she's also going to be talking a bit about the inspiration behind the many incredible books that she's written herself. Like, did you know that she had 83 rejection letters for her first writing project? I know, ridiculous. So yeah, if you're a fan of Mallory, then this is like a must-read book coming out this autumn. So that's my roundup of just some of the amazing YA books that will be coming out in the UK this year. Please let us know in the comments which of these you are most excited to read. And don't forget to subscribe to Penguin Platform for more bookish videos like this one.